After my last two videos, I think we're going to bring it back a little bit and talk about a more, well, I guess probably the most simple kind of archetype. But I don't want to just focus on someone like Ryu for this kind of video. For this video, I want to talk about, I'll start off with Ryu to teach you the understandings and basics of a Shoto, but then I want to divert into more different kinds of Shotos, such as Sean from Street Fighter 3, Ken from Street Fighter 4, and so on and so forth. So I hope you enjoy this. Now, going over Ryu in Street Fighter 2, I don't want to spend too much time on because, well, there's really not that much to talk about, I guess. He's got your three iconic Shoto moves, Hadouken, Shoryuken, and Tatsumaki. Ryu also has two command moves, advancing two-hitter for forward heavy punch, and an overhead two-hitter for his forward medium punch. In Street Fighter 2 in particular, your fireballs are super strong and usually plus on block as well. And with how Ryu's forward heavy punch works, you can simply just throw fireballs at them, advance with forward heavy punch, and just go for a grab, essentially. Basically just keeping them on block and wait for them to jump and then just counter with Shoryuken. Ryu in Street Fighter 2 Turbo is a very pure form of the Shoto. It's more about just playing the neutral more than anything else in this game. And, well, I don't really know how else to describe it other than just pure, I guess, fighting game, I guess? I don't really know how to describe it. It's just very reactionary, I think. Ryu's just very reactionary. Now that we've covered the absolute basics of a Shoto, we can now start to get into more interesting territory, which we're going to be talking about Street Fighter 3 Sean. In Third Strike, I think Sean is a very interesting adaptation of a Shoto. While not very high on the tier list or played very much, I think, Sean is still very interesting, and this video is not really about pointing out the flaws in Sean, but more so showing what you can do and what makes him interesting in the game. For starters, in Third Strike, every single character has 3 supers that you can choose before the start of a match. Sean's is no different, and I think Sean in this game is more of a lore character rather than a practical fighter, if that makes sense. Sean is still in training, so all of his moves, except for his Super 3 art, is moves that can already be performed by Ryu and Ken. So his Super 1 is a regular Hadouken, his Super 2 is the perfected Shoryuken, and Super 3 is more of just a big hit combo that Sean can do.
Let's go.
Sean's regular specials are in, I guess, fashion of him being a student rather than an actual proper full-on Shoto. His specials are worse versions than Ryu and Ken's, but they do have their own special twist on them. Sean doesn't have a regular fireball at all. The only sort of projectile that he can use is either his Super 1 or his taunt, which we'll talk about later. But Sean also incorporates his own sort of moves. He has a quarter circle back roll that can travel certain differences depending on which, either light, medium, or heavy. Half circle forward tackle that's a low, and a quarter circle forward kick, which is an overhead kick. Sean also has two command normals as well, forward heavy kick and forward heavy punch. Ironically, one of Sean's best tools in this game is actually his taunt. Sean gets a basketball and tosses it up into the air, which lands on the opponent, which also doubles as an overhead. The thing about Sean's taunt as well, since it's an overhead, it actually can be very useful in Oki and can also just keep the opponent on their toes with the amount of options that you can do. You can go for a low, another overhead, side swap, or a grab. Much like Sean, I'm a complete novice at Street Fighter 3, but from my understanding of playing Sean is he wants to be a bit more aggressive than Ryu, and I guess probably be... He really wants to take control of the match and keep people guessing with his basketball setups.
Prepare to strike, now!
Overall, I think Sean is a very fun adaptation of a Shoto. He might not be very high tier, but I don't really think that comes into being a factor when just having fun, honestly. He makes sense in the lore of the game and how he plays. It makes sense. He's an amateur fighter, and it makes sense that all of his moves would be very amateurish, but also very much showing of his own personality. I really like that about the character, and I think that's more important than just being a high-tier character. On to Street Fighter 4, and we're going to be talking about Ken for this one. Get back to a little bit more familiar stuff and less, I guess, creative, in a way? I don't know. Ken has pretty much identical moves to Ryu in this game. Well, identical in the sense that, you know, it's the same kind of move, Hadouken, Shoryuken, Tatsumaki, except Ken's Tatsumaki doesn't knock down, his Shoryuken is multi-hit, and I think his Hadouken is slightly weaker, I think? I'm not really sure about that one. But I guess to get into truly unique Ken things is his command normals, again like with Sean. He's got an overhead kick with his forward heavy kick, and he's got a poking medium kick. Ken obviously, in most iterations, wants to be more aggressive than Ryu, rather than being more reactive. He wants to be more proactive. Like after knockdown, use his forward heavy kick to set up an overhead if you know that they're not gonna DP. Use his forward medium kick for good poking and getting closer, throwing out Hadoukens, Tatsu over projectiles, etc, etc. Most of this stuff is well-known Shoto game plan, but in this game specifically, when we talk about combos, and they are pretty obtuse? I don't think that's the right word, but they're very hard to do, essentially. Lots of one-frame links, which makes this game famous for, or infamous for, depending on how you feel about it. As someone who is much more familiar with BlazBlue and Guilty Gear, it is kind of cool to see that this game does actually have a Roman cancel, per se. When you're performing a special move, you can use 2 of your EX bar to perform a focus attack, but you can also dash out of it, meaning that, you know, you can just make yourself safe on most specials that you do. And given what we already know about Ken's more aggressive nature, we can use these cancelled out Hadoukens to put even more pressure on them. Going in for even more pokes, an overhead, going for a low, or even just like dash up to them to go for a grab. Of course, since Ken still is a Shoto, he still doesn't really, I guess, escape the Shoto playstyle, which, I mean, Ken is much more different than Ryu and Sean and whatever. He still does fall into that Shoto category of how he plays, that same DNA. So he can play reactively, but he is also more suited to be more proactive. But yeah, Ken, usually throughout most of the games, is a more aggressive version of Ryu, which is a very good stepping stone, I guess? I mean, it's Ryu, but fiery, you know? So, I guess for the next character, and the final character for this video, let's talk about a different kind of Ryu. This is the final character we're going to be talking about for the Shoto video, Kage. He is the physical manifestation of the evil within inside Ryu, the Satsuni no Haru. You see, where Kage, I think, is the most unique out of all the Shotos is definitely with how his kit is. His fireball, normally, doesn't actually have any distance. It actually goes less distance than Dan's fireball. His Tatsu is also just one giant kick, and Kage's Shoryuken is, I guess, more or less the same. But Kage also has his own set of unique moves. He has an overhead kick that is bottom block for its heavy version. Kage also has a backwards fireball, which is more of an actual fireball, and it's stronger than regular fireballs. A dive kick, an air tatsu, just like other Shotos, but he also has an air fireball, which instead of going downwards, it goes straight forward.
Gotta exercise every once in a while.
Kage lore-wise and gameplay-wise is where Ryu has sacrificed most of his, I guess, technique for a more brutish and stronger form of combat. Where Kage is much more stubbier than regular Ryu, Kage hits way harder.
Show me more! Show me the Satsui within you!
Kage's V-triggers and V-skills also emphasize his fall to the Satsuni no Hado. V-trigger 1 gives Kage the ability to use his teleport dash, similar to Akuma's. And his V-skill 1 ability gives Kage a chargeable attack that I think has a bit of armor on it. V-skill 2 gives Kage an overhead attack, and V-trigger 2 gives Kage a sort of install that makes his one-hand fireball an actual full-screen fireball, and makes him... I think it empowers his specials as well, so you can do combos that you normally can't do.
Gotta exercise every once in a while. Gotta exercise every once in a while.
Kage's pressure is also, while simple, does show off how brutal he can be, and how he just wants to smash through the opponent like a bulldozer. When Kage is in V-trigger 2 mode, he can actually access the special super, the Raging Demon, which is a completely unblockable grab. When Kage taps into the true power of the Satsumi no Hado, he can absolutely devastate the opponent's health bar. Now, despite Kage being a relatively low-tier character in the competitive scene, Kage still is very fun to play, and you feel like an absolute powerhouse powering through the opponent and just making sure they do not have a chance to throw. Whew, that was a video. That was really fun to make. I really enjoyed talking about all these different kinds of Shotos. I think my personal favorite out of all of them is probably Kage, I think? I don't know, I guess I just can't escape always playing the poster boy of games. Even if it's just an evil version. But yeah, I really hope you enjoyed this video. I put a lot of effort into it and a lot of research, so thank you so much for spending the time to watch this. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much, and have a lovely day.